Okay. All right. Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Hello. Good evening.
I think Freddie's flight got delayed, so he's in the air. That's not going to stop us from having a good time, though, is it? Hi, Doreen. Martin. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Emma. Hi, Angela.
Hello.
Nolene and Blaine here every week, as always. And there's Lynn.
The highlight
I
of
think
our week.
good. I think we're going to have fun today. Sometimes, like a musician, you like some of your songs better than others. Well, I'm not a musician, so I'm guessing. So tonight, I think we're going to have a pretty good song. I'm kind of excited for it. So did everybody get my first email? Did everybody get the second email? The one that said, okay, I have no idea what happened because it said the first email sent. And then when I looked, there were no opens. So I'm not sure what happened there. Hi, Chris. Andrea's here. Now we can get started. I have somebody to pick on, so we're good.
Oh, gee, thanks. Missed you too. See how Freddie's flying sausages are doing.
His flying sausages? Oh, I saw the picture. I'm actually on his I have my laptop down here. I had me twice. I had me on his video too. So he's in the air. So we're gonna have fun today. Good to see you, Dakota.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. Dakota did a little graphology on me when we were in Las Vegas, and I've been thinking about it every time I'm writing. So Dakota, do you remember what you came up with for me?
Yeah, but I got it right here if you want me to tell you everything.
No, that's all right. Please, I don't want everybody to know. So one thing that I remember is, I would start a line off to the left, and then underneath it, I would indent. And I realize why I do that, because I often write in like bullet points. So I'll do a headline, and then I'll do bullet points under it. And for the bullet points, I indent it. And so I don't know. I've been like trying to move everything over to the left to line it up. So anyway, you got me consciously thinking about that now. So I appreciate that.
No problem.
Has anybody here studied graphology, handwriting analysis, and graphotherapy? A little bit. Angela, Blaine. Okay, good. It's kind of fun. Andrea wants the beans. I think what he found was that I was just too humble. I think that was the intelligent, decisive, and really humble, I think was what he came up with, if I remember correctly.
Was he going to do best of three?
All right, Delane's on here. Is it all right with everybody if we get a little esoteric tonight? A little bit into, usually we come at it from the psychology, perspective about, well, we blend it, but tonight we're going to get into a little more energetic, some spiritual principles, and just see it from a different angle. So I hope that's okay with everybody. And if it's not, well, too bad. Everybody seems good with that. All right, perfect. If you weren't a little bit interested in that stuff, you probably wouldn't be here. So did anyone come with a specific intention for for negative thoughts or programs they want to eliminate? Okay. Couple nods. Emma's not too sure. Hi, Helen. Sunita's on. Good to see you. Well, good to see your Zoom setup here. Let's make sure we got. Give it one more minute here. What did we do last week? It was so long ago, I don't even remember. Did I suggest amnesia for everybody? Is that what happened last week?
We did integrity.
Integrity, that's right. That's right. How did that go for everybody? Bring that into conscious awareness a little more throughout last week.
Yeah, you asked us to have a bit of a ritual every day to make something that was really easy for us to accomplish. I did mine, I have to say, every day.
And Lynn, how did that make you feel about yourself?
I didn't hear that, Nicholas.
I said, how did that make you feel about yourself? Did you feel like you got a little bit more momentum, a little bit
Oh,
more?
yeah. Sorry, my video on. Yeah, yeah, it just gave me something to focus on in the morning. It was something very simple.
Good.
Stretching and the breathing. Yeah.
That helps. I was doing a swim workout and I told myself to go 30 minutes and that was my commitment to myself. And then I got to minute like 15 and I was like, I think I'm done. I'm just going to go sit in the sauna. And then I was like, no, I told everybody we're doing integrity. Now I got to finish this and do my 30 minutes. And I was glad I did. So good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started here. Like I said, Freddie is flying. He's got his smoking cessation workshop in, I think, the Netherlands. And his flight was delayed, so he's unable to make it. But I've got him on Zoom. I could put myself on his camera so you can see me twice if that would be nice for everybody. Tonight, we're going to get into some energetic principles. I'm going to teach a little bit of a new, a little bit of a new framework, a new perspective on how our thoughts manifest, on how they become things, and then how to materialize our thoughts. But more specifically on this call is to dematerialize our thoughts. And so we're going to come up with some negative thought and emotional patterns that we are going to dematerialize. I'm going to go over the principles of how to materialize, how to dematerialize, how to use hypnosis, the modalities, and some of the spiritual and energetic principles. Does that sound good for everybody? Any questions, comments, or wins before we get started here? Good. Everybody's just like an open book ready to learn, aren't you? That is a suggestion. Okay. So you create everything. And I know sometimes even I resist this idea. Something happens to me and I'm like, oh, Lynn did that to me, or somebody did this to me, right? Like I'm the victim of this thing and now I got to figure out how to overcome it. But after tonight's call, I don't think you're going to be able to use that excuse anymore. I think you are going to know that you are the creator of your reality. So we're going to go into how that works. So whatever you believe, whatever your religious background is, most religions and spiritual traditions believe that there is a thing that we call a soul or a divine spark. And this soul or divine spark is that I am, that essence of awareness within you. And so the soul, like, right, our brain is not us. our soul gets to direct how we use our brain. So we're going to go from kind of the highest level of let's say the least dense frequency. We're going to call that our soul. And then at the next level down is the mental realm or the mental world. And so this has a little bit more vibration to it. So when you use your soul to direct your thoughts, your consciousness, you're really directing your brain, and you're directing it to find specific thoughts and ideas in what we're going to call the mental realm. So you can think about your success, or you could think about your failure. You could think about what's wrong with your relationship, and you can think about what's right with your relationship. You have the ultimate freedom to direct your thoughts. Everyone's on board with this so far, yes? All right. Once you start using your soul, your consciousness, to become aware of different thoughts, what happens is those thoughts start to get momentum and they start to get energy. And then you start to attach meaning and emotions to them. And so the next level down from our soul into the mental realm is we go into the emotional or the astral realm. And so once we start attaching emotions to that, we start to get even more dense in energy with those thoughts. And the emotions are like the bridge that takes things from the mental world into physical reality. If any of you have ever intentionally manifested something, what do? You visualize it, you start to feel the emotions in your body, and pretty soon it shows up in your life, right? This is the process. We have a thought, we hold that thought, we attach emotions to that thought, whether we mean to or not. And then somehow, in some way, that slows down into dense matter and becomes reality. Like I've talked about, I was working on a $100,000 check. And so I took it from my soul made this decision. That's what it wanted. And I directed my thoughts and I started to visualize having this $100,000 check. And I would emotionalize it, and I would use my physical body, and I would imagine signing this check. And I did that enough that pretty soon I had a rental property catch on fire and I got an insurance check for exactly $100,000. Right? So you can't decide, you can't always control how it shows up in your life. But when you slow that frequency down through the emotions into the physical realm, it manifests. All right. So we are always, all day long, doing this, whether we mean to or not, whether we're aware of it or not, and whether we think of it as positive or not. So in the mental realm, let's call this the realm where our subconscious or superconscious accesses, it doesn't make a judgment about whether what you impress on it is good or bad. So this is the freedom you have, is to think about negative or, negative things or positive things, and to bring those into reality. It doesn't judge them. There's no filter. It doesn't say, hey, you've been thinking about scarcity a lot. Maybe you want to change your thoughts. Maybe I'm not going to manifest that because I know that's not what you want. Why don't you redirect your thoughts? It doesn't do that. It doesn't know what's negative, what's positive. It just brings those mental and emotional realms into the physical. And we're going to go over specifically how that happens. All right. Any questions or comments there? Dakota, yes.
How long did it take for you to manifest from the time that you started the $100,000 processing until you actually received that check?
So it's kind of a funny story. I was running my Metamorphosis coaching group, which that program is in the courses. If you haven't done that yet, I recommend it. And so that was my goal, and it was a goal for Garrett, who was on the calls as well. And so we were both working on that, and he was doing this visualization process every day, and I was doing it like occasionally, like less than half the time. And so by the end of the 8 weeks, he had manifested a $113,000 deal, and I had manifested a $50,000 deal. So I was doing the exercise half the time and I got half the outcome. And so after that, I was like, oh gosh, I got to restart this process. And so I think it took a couple months to get specifically $100,000 after that, maybe 5 months, 4 months. But so the more, that's what we're getting into right now, is how to specifically speed that process up. Is everybody ready for that? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
So here's how to speed up materializing things. Now, again, it's not always positive to materialize things. So this works both ways. The things you want and the things you don't want, you can materialize like this. All right. So when you hold a thought in the mental realm, the more specific you are, the faster it will materialize. Yes, if we're vague about things, that material world, the substance of the ether doesn't know exactly what to give us. It's unsure. But when you have specific clarity, what model, what year of car you want, exactly how much money, right? Exactly $100,000. When you're specific about it, you start to, it's like a light bulb doesn't have that much power. But if you focused all of the light coming from that light bulb into like a laser, now it can cut through things. Now it has a ton of power. So that's what we're doing. We're getting more specific to materialize things faster. And then, of course, we're going to attach, like I mentioned, we're going to attach an emotion to it. So when you attach an emotion, it just speeds up the process from taking mental energy into physical matter. That emotion is the bridge, for good or for bad, right? If you're stressing about, like, if any of you have ever been in a relationship where someone is jealous, they're projecting this jealous energy. They try to control things. They look for proof that you're cheating when you're not, right? If any of you are done this, like, you start to imagine things, they start to hallucinate things. And there's a lot of emotion there. So they bring that the mental idea that they're being cheated on, they bring that very quickly into physical manifestation. Even if the partner's not cheating, they still experience it that way. And pretty soon, if you've ever been with somebody like that, they're really hard to stay with, and you want to go see somebody else, don't you? And so their thought pattern brings that into reality because they give it emotion. So I'm gonna go over one example from before that I wanted to mention. So bringing mental energy into physical matter, the metaphor I'm going to use is like taking ore out of the ground. Like a miner would go and get ore. They would refine that ore. Right? The ore can be turned into many different things. It's like just this kind of gross, undefined substance. When you refine it, you can then turn it into liquid iron, and it's more specific. And then you could take that iron and you could turn it in, send it to another factory and turn it into steel beams. And then you could take those steel beams and then you can make a skyscraper out of it. So you got this like really, this blah, this kind of undefined substance that can then become specified into a skyscraper. And that's what we're doing with the ether, with this mental energy, with source energy. We're taking our laser beam of our mind and we're refining it, attaching emotions, and making a skyscraper out of it. Everybody on board with that? Okay, so let's get into how to materialize these things quicker. Certainty is the key to manifesting. When a thought is held with certainty, you speed up the process. And I'm sure all of you know, especially if you're a hypnotist, if you're in sales, when you hold a thought with certainty, that thought form, the mental energy of that touches everybody around you. Everybody is influenced by that. When you have this idea, you know what? I want to create this thing. I want to build this business. I want to start this thing. Have you ever experienced where people come up to you and they'll say, hey, I want to work for you. I want to be a part of, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to be a part of it. And the people you need are somehow drawn to you because you have certainty around a specific thought form. Sarah asks, how do you maintain the certainty and hold the momentum? We'll get into that. Okay, first of all, certainty is in most of our emotional state is created by our body language. So if you're in a state of certainty with your body language, you tune into frequency. Yeah, I see some of you shifting. Good. As you bring more awareness to that state, how does someone with certainty stand? Right? They stand upright. Their chin is up. Their shoulders might be back. Their body might be relaxed. They breathe deeply into their stomach. When you carry yourself in that state, you project more certainty. You give more energy to your mental thought forms. And then when you visualize yourself and you stay in that state, we're going to do something here in a few minutes to use that. Then you imagine, like whenever I imagine speaking, I always put myself into the state of certainty, into the body language of it. I see myself speaking from that state of certainty. And then when I step out to speak, boom, that state is triggered right back. So we're training our mind to go to these specific patterns. All right. The other thing is we use modalities to focus our laser beam of our mind. And what I mean by that is everybody knows what I mean by modalities, right? Our five senses. And if you're any kind of hypnotist, speaker, sales, you should have a mastery of how to use modalities. So when you imagine seeing yourself accomplish a goal and you imagine seeing it out there, we call that dissociated. It's more powerful. There's a stronger energy. It materializes faster if you view it like you're viewing it from your own eyes, associated into that state. And it's more powerful if you imagine it being brighter, being louder, being bigger, being closer up, and feeling like, I think one of the most powerful things is feeling and using your hands as you're imagining this thing. So imagining like actually using your hands to sign a check, or imagine holding a gold bar in your hands. I used to do this to manifest deals. I would imagine, and I would like literally use my hands to do this. I would take a key and I would put it into a coin operated laundry machine. I would turn the key. I would take my other hand and imagine pulling the tray out. I would feel the weight of the coins. I would hear the coins in my imagination, and I would dump the coins into this bank money bag that I would then take to the bank. And I would visualize that and imagine that over and over. And I would feel the weight of the coins and I would see it. And I was focusing mental energy, right? Like if I was just thinking like, oh, I want to do more deals, that's kind of a vague thing, but I was getting more specific. I was tuning into that laser beam and bringing that down into a very specific experience. And what happened was I bought, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8 buildings within a couple months after that all had coin operated laundry machines. And before that, I think I only had 1. And so once you create this thought form and that thought form gets going, it almost has this energy of its own where it continues to do the work for you, right? If any of you have ever like, oh, I want to master this process, or I want to get this sale. Once you get that sale, it's almost like it's now part of your life. Like it's easier to make similar sales. Has everyone experienced this? When you work really hard to attract this thing, and once you get the thing, you seem to just get it a lot more often. Like it's like a thought form you've sent that out into the world and it's doing work for you and it's bringing the power of this back to you. So we're going to use the modalities to have the experience in our body, and that's gonna bring more density into mental thought forms, right? The more emotion, the more specific, the more we use the modalities, the more we experience it as reality, the more our thought form hardens into material fact. Is everybody clear on that? And the more certainty we have around it. Okay. So again, this works with positive and negative. So if you're holding negative thought forms, it will materialize. And this is where a lot of disease comes from. This is where a lot of our patterns come from. is we spend, not us, but other people spend years repeating the same thought forms. And the more emotion and the more specificity they give to it, the more it hardens into material fact. And then they come see a hypnotist like you guys to change that, right? So any questions on speeding up the process of materialization? All right. So let's talk about how to dematerialize, how to take things that are part of our life now and scramble them up a bit and take the energy out of them so they're no longer material fact. They're no longer part of your experience. That would be useful, right? That's probably why we're all on the call today. Okay. So a lot of this is just doing the opposite of what we did to speed up the materialization process. So we do that by detaching emotions from it. And so we have all kinds of processes as hypnotists, NLPers, coaches to take emotions out of things. We're going to do a few of those processes tonight. The other thing is we can scramble and change the modalities. So as people use their soul to connect to mental ideas, we want to change the shape of those mental ideas by changing the modalities. So imagine taking that thing you're afraid of that's so big and right in your face, making it smaller, taking the color out of it, pushing it away, removing the sound. And as you do that, you take energy out of the thought form, and the nervous system can't quite relate to it the same way. Another thing we do is we put people into a positive or a resource state, and then we connect it to the negative thought pattern. So if you stay in a positive state and I connect a negative thought or a negative state, what happens? It scrambles it, right? Those two get mixed up. You're connecting resources into a negative process, and then your brain can't access it the same. Okay, another thing we can do is reframe the meaning that you give to things. So we should probably do another call where we're specifically just going over reframes. But to reframe is to change the meaning, to take something that you perceive as a negative, to find the good in it, and to make it a positive, to make it a resource. When you do that, you drain the energy out of it. And when the energy's drained, when the emotion's drained, those things tend to just leave from your life. Have any of you ever had that where you changed a belief, you changed it, like energy shifted, and a person that had been hanging around your life that wasn't serving you just suddenly disappeared, like almost immediately after that energy shifted? We've all experienced that. As soon as that energy shifts, that thought form is disintegrated, and that person or that thing or that experience just tends to vanish.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just want to say that happened to me lately. It happened that I think I got momentum. So basically, I moved cities here in the UK. At the same time, everything happened. Job change completely unexpectedly. But what you said about shifting energies, two people decided to just leave. And they were like, okay. One of them even said, he was my friend. Bye. I'm like, okay. So I just thought, how come? What happened? I think there was such a shift in energies, and maybe I changed something in me, and they did not resonate with me anymore. Yeah, very interesting.
Well, this is our antenna, and it puts out a frequency. And so people that match your frequency, they're drawn to you. And people that don't match your frequency, they're either repelled or they can be in the same space as you and you just won't notice them. Like you've all been to an event or a gathering where somehow you just seem to like cling to the 5 or 6 people that are really similar to you. Like somehow you just find those people in a sea of hundreds of people, and you just find the people you click with. We're drawn to those people, just like when you get in your car and you turn it on and you hit the button for the classical music station. That's all you're going to hear is classical music because that's all that resonates with the antenna frequency. Make sense?
Yeah, complete sense.
Okay,
Now
good.
it makes me think of my vibration before. So, because I think they tried to enter an argument and they were a bit on the negative side. So I just was not there. I was unavailable to have that sort of conversation. Yeah, cheers, Nick. Makes sense.
Good, good. So, and then when our modalities and our body language and what we're picturing and what we're speaking, when those all match, we bring things to reality very quickly. Right? We call that being congruent. People that are congruent, they move through the world, people are drawn to them. What they think about tends to materialize really quickly. I'm sure have you all been in the state where you're like, I just feel good with who I am right now. I feel like what I'm saying, what I'm doing, everything's matching. And you just flow through the world and you have a thought and it just shows up in your life. And then you've had other times where you didn't, yeah, good. Everybody's experienced that. And then you've had times where you didn't quite feel that way and things just weren't clicking. When your thoughts, your actions, the pictures you're making in your head, when they all match, you materialize very quickly. For better or worse, right? For better or worse. Okay. So when we're materializing, we're putting energy into a specific thing. When we're dematerializing, we're taking energy out of it. We're being less specific. We're changing the modalities, and we can extract those thought forms, those energies, those programs from your nervous system. So anytime you have this, if you would say like, oh, I have a fear of blank. Well, fear or anxiety or whatever is the emotion, and of blank is the thing that emotion is materializing. Or I love blank. When you say I love blank, love is the emotion. Blank, whatever you love, is the thing that you're bringing into physical reality. And the more emotion you have and the more specific that thing you're commenting on, the faster it takes shape. Is that clear to everybody? So if someone says, oh, I'm afraid of this, what they're really saying is, oh, I'm materializing this. Anytime somebody says an emotion, whatever they say right after, they might as well say, oh, I'm bringing this into reality, regardless of what the emotion is. That's like the fuel for that vehicle. Okay. So you've probably been doing that in some areas of your life. So we're going to take the fuel out of that vehicle and we're going to move that fuel into a vehicle that serves you. Does that sound good? Good.
Sounds good.
All right, perfect. One last idea before we get into some stuff here is, if we think about a bodybuilder, bodybuilders take that kind of iron, that ore in the shape of food, and they turn it into muscle, right? They're directing energy into a shape of a certain form in material matter in their body. So my thought is, and they work out a lot, right? A couple hours a day, some of them, a couple times a week. What if taking action, what if the only thing that action does is it guides your mental focus into a specific outcome? So the time that they spend in the gym is really like, instead of the workout being the main thing, that 2 hours they're spending in the gym is really like a mental focus exercise to direct energy. And so the bodybuilders will talk about this. The awareness and the focus that they put into every rep, the presence they put into every rep, has a huge impact on if the muscles are formed. And so, you know, as they're watching, they're directing energy, they're imagining that muscle, that bicep, being the shape they want it to be, looking how they want it to look. So what's more powerful? Is it the action, or is it the mental laser beam energy being directed? And it's almost like the 2 hours they schedule for the gym is 2 hours of mentally directed energy. And maybe that's more important than the physical workout. Freddie and I had talked about creating a mental bodybuilding course where instead of going to the gym, you visualize it and you imagine it, and taking a sample group of people and seeing what changes happen just from mental exercise. Because, you know, in hypnosis, we're directing mental energy into a very specific outcome. And that's what we're about to do here. Andrew says, don't skip leg day. Love that. Good to see you there, Nick. I saw you get on here. All right. All right, so let's do a process. We're gonna get clear on what your outcome is tonight. Any questions before we start? Is this connecting with everybody's experience of the world? Everybody has had similar experiences where you've brought something into physical reality, often in an unexpected way. All right, no questions. Everybody's good? All right, perfect. So get comfortable, get situated. Diana, don't go anywhere yet. We're not going into a deep trance. We're just going to connect with your unconscious mind and set an intention here. Get comfortable, close your eyes. And today we're improving our skills at materializing and dematerializing, turning thoughts into matter, into physical reality with the power of emotions. Directing that internal laser beam of your mental energy into physical matter. And take a moment and set an intention to connect with that higher part of you, that divine spark. Maybe you call it the soul. Maybe you call it your higher self. Your authentic and true core. And imagine that part of you flowing through every cell of your being. And notice how good it feels. As you inspire, you breathe in and relax to the deepest wisdom and knowing that you possess. Knowing that you create everything in your life, every part of your reality is mental energy combined with emotion brought into physical form. And take a moment and examine your life now. What are the things, the experiences, the people that you've been bringing into your life that you're ready to let go of? The things you're ready to dematerialize. What areas of your life are you not satisfied with? Choose one specifically to start with. And just ask yourself, what is the thought or belief that is bringing that into reality? With no judgments, no filtering, just that first response. What is the thought? What is the specific thought that is bringing that experience or that thing into physical reality? And what emotion has provided fuel for that? And find another area of your life, another part of your experience that you're ready to change, and get clear on what that is. And once you're clear on what you're ready to dematerialize, ask yourself the question again. What is the thought that is creating that experience? What is the specific thought that underlies that creation? No judgment, no filtering, just allow. And what is the emotion that has provided the fuel to bring that into physical existence? And one last time, choose one more area, one more thing in your life, maybe a habit, a thought pattern, an emotion, a relationship, something you're ready to change, transform, transmute, or let go of. And when you're clear on that, ask the question, what is the specific thought that is bringing that into reality? And what has been the emotion that was providing the fuel for that? And imagine at the end of this call, once we've transmuted, transformed, released, dematerialized those experiences and those energies, how do you feel? What emotions will you feel instead? That's right. And what will you experience and manifest and realize in place of those patterns you're letting go of now? And who will you be after these processes when we've scrambled, disintegrated, and dematerialized those negative thought forms? And when you're clear on what that experience is going to be like in just a few minutes, you can begin to come back to this Zoom call, and you might as well stay in a trance, or at least a light trance, because we're going right back there anyway. And when you're ready, but not a moment sooner, you can open your eyes, and you may want to take a few notes and just jot down what those three things were, what those three thoughts were, and what emotions were giving them fuel. So sometimes this is a little bit of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, you get to realize, oh, I'm creating that thing with my thoughts and emotions. And on the other hand, you realize, oh, I'm creating that thing with my thoughts and emotions, right? You have to take responsibility for it, but you get responsibility. You get the ability to respond once you claim the power. Once you take responsibility, you say, oh, this thing I'm blaming my mom for, this thing I'm blaming my neighbor for, this thing I'm blaming my business partner for, it's actually a thought form in my system that I keep bringing into reality. Then you can change it. If it's somebody else's problem, if it's somebody else's caused it, you have no power over it. Did everyone get an idea about how the things in their life that they want to get rid of are actually their own creation? Does anyone doubt that? Okay, good. Well, that's a huge win right there. All right. Any questions or comments?
I would have one, Nick.
Yes.
So, for example, with regards to financial abundance, I'm quite aware that I have some limiting beliefs, and I've been aware about them for a while, trying to clean them, replace them with better ones. However, they're a bit ingrained in me, and I don't want to say that as an intention. It's just I really don't know how to get rid of them. Basically, they stem from my childhood.
Okay. Did you come up with one in this of the three things? Was that based on finances? Was there a specific thought form that you found? Like a specific thought
it's
that
my
was
mom.
created?
My mom wanted to keep all the money because she wanted to actually invest in my education and my brothers, but because of that, she had this belief that money is never enough for the rest, for education always, but she wouldn't spend anything on restaurants or holidays or self-care or anything.
Okay. So what's the specific thought that you experience it on a day-to-day basis?
Scarcity, money is scarce.
So generally, like, we talk to ourselves in a dialogue. Oh, I'm worried about that. Like, there's something specific. So are you saying the words to yourself, money scarcity, or how does that show up?
I'm afraid that I'm going to run out of it, basically.
So fear of running out of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So fear is the emotion. Running out of money is the thought. So what happens if I run out of money, correct?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure you're the only one on this call who's ever had that thought or emotion, right? None of you have ever experienced that. Okay, well, if somebody can change it, you can change it. If other people have different thoughts. So that's what we're going to do right now is we're going to start to scramble those specific patterns. Because that's a very specific, like, and then when you think about running out of money, there's probably specific pictures that you make and feelings that you feel. And like your brain goes down the line on an unconscious basis. So if I run out of money, I won't be able to pay the mortgage. I'll be out on the street. I won't be able to feed my kid, like whatever, right? That's how the brain's protecting you that way. But what happens is it's also like taking a vague experience and now we're giving it life and we're concentrating it into a laser beam, right? And so then the longer and more emotionally you hold that experience, the more it'll tend to manifest in your body. And it can give you diseases or chronic fatigue in order for that to become a reality. Because if you're capable of going out earning money at a job, but you keep thinking this thought, the thought form is going to say, well, in order for me to manifest this, I'm going to have to slow Diana down so she doesn't go to work. Right. And so people can, like, again, that laser beam is changing physical matter inside your system because it doesn't know that that's not what you want. It just knows emotion and thought, and it's combining the two to bring it to reality.
You are so right, actually, Nick, because at work I can do way more. I can lead more, I can manage more, budget, more complexity, but I'm so afraid. Again, other connected fears. Yeah, absolutely.
And again, you're probably the only one on this call who's not living up to their potential because of these thought forms, right?
Mm.
Does that help? We'll get into that right now.
Thank you.
We'll start to scramble these.
More than you can imagine.
Good.
Thank you.
Sarah, yes.
So I can totally relate to what she was just saying, actually, very much so in that scarcity mindset. Something else that I wanted to ask you about was when we've had an experience before, like let's say my experience is I built up a business, had the best the absolute best year of my 10-year career, and then that business tanked. So it's sort of like there's this charge, this emotional charge connected with now building my hypnotherapy business. So can this exercise help me with that? Because it's like I could go back to the past and it's not just a story, it happened. So how do we reframe that story instead of a failure to make it something else, something more positive?
So that's what I was going to say is that's probably a reframe is the best. And when I say reframe, it's taking what we think of as negative, but there's really no negative or positive. That's our judgment. And we're going to take what you used to call a negative and we're going to reframe it as a positive. So I shared, I think I shared a couple weeks ago on here how I went to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery. And one of the things I noticed with every single speaker, without exception, people that had gone from nothing to $100 million, billion dollar, multi-billion dollar businesses, without exception, is they all failed. These guys would come on stage, they'd get interviewed, and they'd say, you know what? I started 10 businesses. Every single one of them failed. After every single one, I was deep in debt. I was depressed. I was crushed. And I got up and I started again. And I took what I learned from the previous businesses and became a smashing success. Or, you know, this business failed. My wife left me. She took my kids. I lost everything. I started this business out of desperation and it took off. And so, but they all took what they learned on the way down to build the thing on the way up. And sometimes it takes, I'm getting a little off topic here, but sometimes it takes losing something to release attachment. Because if you get to a point where you have no money, you realize, oh, I have no money, but I'm safe. That thing I was imagining happening isn't happening. You know, I got over my ego and my pride, and this isn't as bad as I thought. Like I'm alive. Now, going forward, you don't have that fear. And when you don't have that fear, you're free. And so then your laser beam isn't concentrated on the fear of losing because you've already done it. Like you don't care anymore. You're over that. And so you losing that business and that business failing, like one, you know how to build businesses, you know how to build revenue and scale. And then if you take out what you learned from the failure, now you're setting yourself up to be a success. I wouldn't want to be in business with someone who hasn't had a big failure they've learned from. That's really the only way to learn is from failures, right?
That's so helpful. That is so helpful. And to know that those, billionaires or multimillionaires have failed, just to hear them say that, just even hearing it through you is so incredibly, it's like you feel less alone. I feel like, okay, that makes sense. So it's really reframing that quote unquote failure to just a learned experience, just learning really, and just learning how to fail so that, and I guess I've heard it said like you can fail better each time or fail something like that.
Yes.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about fail faster,
That's fail faster.
Yeah, it's only our ego that stops us from failing. But I think the more we fail, the better. It's almost like, and all right, so everybody listening, what I just did was, it's almost like imagine Sarah was walking towards me. And instead of me being like, no, stop, don't have that fear, I turned and I walked with her. And then I guided her back around in a new direction. And so that was a reframe that took the energy out of the fear and I put the energy into the new thing. I gave her a new focus. I gave her on, instead of the emotions around how she failed, I'm putting energy and emotions into her next success. So I'm materializing, I'm concentrating that mental energy and I'm dissolving the mental energy because now she sees her failure is actually a lesson. So we're transmuting it with a reframe from a negative thought form to a positive one. Does everyone see that? Is that difficult? Nick. Yeah, you're welcome. Is that difficult? You guys can do that. And many of you probably do this all the time, right? Or you will soon. And that is a suggestion. Diana, did you have your hand up or did somebody have their hand up?
Yes, I did. I need to ask a question. I wasn't afraid of anything happening to my bank, but I was scammed, hacked, whatever, and they took everything. Now, I wasn't afraid of that happening. So why would that happen?
you said you were scammed? What?
Scammed, and they cleared my bank account. Yes. Now they're trying to get it back. That's not the issue. The issue I'm asking is, why would that happen?
How did that manifest? Okay. So it's a little complex because we have, I don't know, how many thoughts in a day do you think we have? Millions, hundreds of thousands?
Yeah.
And so we're always generating different experiences, and those experiences don't instantly manifest, right? How screwed would we be if we had a thought and like instantly that thought came to life? So what happens is you have these intentions of manifesting certain things, of becoming certain things, and then you also have these negative, what we're going to call negative thought forms, and there's thousands of these at play at any one time. What happens a lot of times when you intend to become a better person, when you intend to be an influencer, when you start working on yourself, is you attract challenging situations so that you can grow from them. So this is one thing they don't teach you at these manifestation schools and boot camps is when you're like, you know what, I want to be a more successful, more determined, more persistent person. The universe goes, oh, we can do that. We're going to take something away from you, or we're going to make you work harder in order to develop that character trait. And so it's hard to say specifically, I mean, we could maybe ask your subconscious mind, but it's hard to say specifically what created that experience from you, for you, whether it was a fear or some kind of desire. Maybe you're going to realize, oh, I don't want to be at this bank at all. I want to go to a different bank. Or I want to have, or you know what? I shouldn't leave my cash in a bank like that anyway. I should have multiple bank accounts. Like there's something that can come from it positive.
Well, I have multiple now, but it's a bit late.
Well, look at you go. Like you're making those changes though, but there's many things at play, and what we manifest at any one time isn't always specifically clear.
No, okay. The thing is, everybody these days is warning us about a scam. That could have had an influence, I just suddenly thought. But every time you go into anywhere, they tell you they're going to be scammed. So
instead of a fear of being scammed, now you're confident that you can avoid scams because you've been through it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. We haven't even started yet. Are you guys ready to do some work here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other hands? Any other questions, comments before we start? Everybody has clarity on the things they want to dissolve or disintegrate. All right. I've got a couple processes here. Let me figure out where I want to start. All right. Let's do the antenna one. All right. These processes are not meant to be a passive hypnosis process. These are meant to be active, meaning you're going to use your imagination. You're going to use your body. You're going to change your body, your breathing. You're going to use your hands to create these experiences because so in the mental realm is almost like we're making pictures. And then in the emotional realm, we're feeling things in our body. And then the kinesthetic feeling of things is the closest to the physical realm. So when you imagine holding something in your hand, that's the most dense vibration. And I think that's why it's the most powerful for manifesting. Because you can visualize things, and then what happens is you'll start to see that thing in your life. So imagine, for example, if you're visualizing a gold bar, well, then you might see it in a magazine. You might see a gold commercial on the internet. You might see it on, in a movie where they steal gold, and you're manifesting the vision of that. Have any of you experienced this where you're trying to manifest something, you're visualizing it, and then you just start to see it more instead of actually having it in your life? So that's the specific frequency of visualizing, and it definitely works. But then you're going to start to emotionalize it, which is the kinesthetic feeling in your body. And then you want to hear it, and you want to have the imagination of physically handling the thing. So words are vibrations, and those have more density that if you imagine. So speaking a thought has more power than just imagining the thought because there's more vibration to it. It's closer to physical matter. So when you're speaking it and you're imagining the feeling of it, you have more power. All right. So the process we're going to do right now is we're going to start to tune that antenna into that feeling of certainty and connecting positive emotions. So we're going to start with when you go into the negative state. So select your negative emotional state. When you go into that and you start thinking about it, your body goes into a certain body language. Your chin might go down, your shoulders might go up, your breathing might get shallow. Let that happen. You're tuning your antenna into that vibration. So I'm going to take you there. And then I'm going to take you into the opposite of that. So whatever the opposite is, whatever state that is for you, you're going to use your body and your breath and your facial expressions and your imagination to tune you into a resource state. You're going to hold that state, and then you're going to try to think of the negative thought. And you're going to notice that it's impossible. Because while you hold the body language, you can't connect to the emotions of the old thought, and we're going to collapse that pattern. Everybody clear on that? You can stand up for this if you want. You can maybe sitting up is better because we're going to engage our body here instead of just doing a passive hypnosis. So take a moment, look at your list, select the pattern that you want to dissolve. And these emotions are hypnotic in themselves. So I'm not going to need to even do some crazy induction. Just go into that thought and emotion that you're ready to change. You can close your eyes when you're ready. And notice when you're in that negative state, what do you see? What do you hear? What is the thought in the mental layer that is connected to this emotion? Get really specific on what that thought is or was. And just allow this. We're going to change it. So there's no need to resist it. Just allow it. Notice that you create this. And if you create it, it means that you can change it. And notice specifically what your body is doing, what your face is doing, where you're holding tension. Notice your breath. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it rapid? Is it slow? And if this feeling had a color, what color would it be? Good. And just notice it's a sensation. And when you're ready, take a few deep, powerful breaths, sit up. And as you exhale, just shake off that energy. You can keep your eyes closed if you want. Deep breath in. Imagine breathing in energy from the top of your head down through the bottom of your feet, clearing out that antenna, that channel. Realizing you are not your emotions. It's just an experience that you've created. And when you're ready, I want you to think of what is the opposite of that thought and emotion. So maybe if you felt unsafe, now you feel a feeling of complete safety and peace. If you felt scarcity, maybe the opposite of that is abundance or generosity or prosperity or gratitude. Find the first gut response. What is the word connected to the emotion that is the opposite energy of what you were just feeling? Because all energy and emotions must have an equal and opposite potential. and allow your subconscious mind to generate a time in your life when you felt this empowering emotion. Think of a time where you felt certainty, where you felt in creative flow, where you felt gratitude. That's right. And connected, joy, power. And allow that energy to flow into every cell of your being. And remember, when you were in this state, how are you breathing? What was your face doing? What were facial expressions? And let that happen now. That's right. Great job. What were you thinking? What were you picturing that allowed you to feel this incredible emotion grow even stronger throughout every cell of your being? How are you breathing? And imagine if this positive emotion had a color, what color would it be? And breathe that color into every cell. Imagine your brain and your body as an antenna filling with this vibration. And in a moment, not yet, but in a moment, I'm going to have you hold this body language and hold this energy and think the old thought. And notice as you think the old thought that this positive emotion gets even stronger. And go ahead, and as you maintain this incredible feeling, think the old thought and notice that you feel even more confident. You feel even better now. And notice as you maintain this body language and this breathing, it's impossible to recall the old negative feeling. And the harder you try to recall it, the better you feel. And see the energy from this empowering thought flow through your entire timeline. From the beginning of your life all the way forward, filled with joy, abundance, prosperity, gratitude, creativity. And notice the energy of that dissolving within your body, within your timeline, any of the colors of that old thought form. See it dissolving, disintegrating. And just to make sure, see a time in the future that used to have triggered that old emotion and step into it and notice this feeling of certainty, this feeling of confidence, this incredible positive feeling instead. And when you're sure that this thought, this emotion, this energy has filled the mental realm, the emotional realm, and the physical realm, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. You can begin to come back into your being, into your breath, feeling inspired as you breathe deeper. Noticing the changes that continue to take place connected to that specific new positive emotion and positive energy. And when you're sure those changes have taken place, you can open your eyes, ready for our next set of experiences and processes. Coming back all the way. How's everybody doing? It's really, really hard, maybe impossible, to be in a positive body language and connect to the old thoughts. So we're taking the resources of that positive state and we're basically like blasting through the emotional realm to dissolve the emotions connected to the thought. So the thought's still there, but it's now the emotion is different because we've plugged in positive, resourceful emotions to it. How different does everybody feel now? Like that presupposition there? Good? Does anyone want to share? I should say, who wants to share first? I should use my presuppositions there. Okay, we can keep going. All right, we're going to do, this is probably the best one. Oh, hold on. Yeah, let's do this one. We're going to do, we're going to do the ball of light. Okay, so this is going to be a heavy internal kinesthetic experience. So let's do, I know we've done a little bit of this before, but let's do an experiment here. Some of you are going to be able to feel this very powerfully. The rest of you may only be able to feel this powerfully. But what we're going to do is basically some of you are going to be more sensitive to energy than others. So take your hands, put your thumbs in the center of your palms and just rub them together. Rub your hands together and put your hands about a foot apart and imagine a cloud of energy between your palms. And imagine as you move your hands back and forth, you can feel the density change. You kind of sensitize your hands. I like to do this where I take my finger and I draw a circle inside my palm. Some of you will really be able to feel that if you're focusing your attention on that kinesthetic. All right, everybody put your hands up. Let's see if you can feel my energy through your palms. Does anybody feel that? Yeah? Weird. I didn't know if that would work or not. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you move energy in and around your hands. We're going to create this ball of energy. We're going to put all of our negative thoughts in it. Then we're going to change it. We're going to put some really positive things in it. We're going to put energy into this ball. We're creating a thought form with it. And we're going to send it off to do your bidding. Does that sound good? Oh, no. Oh, no. What we're going to, okay. We're going to put all our negative thoughts in it. And then we're going to put it in a meat grinder and in a blender. So what I'm going to need you to do is you have to take the ball of energy and you have to push it down into a meat grinder that's got a hand crank on it. And you're going to have to really do this. You're going to have to hand crank it. You're going to take that energy out that's been chopped up. You're going to put it in a blender. You got to push the button on the blender. We're going to blend it up. You're going to pour that out into your hands. And now it's raw energy material that we're going to reshape into the things that we desire. All right. This sounds silly, but I promise you this works. Everybody ready for that? Lynn's jacked up for it. She's ready to go. All right. So take a moment and you can select, if you don't feel like we resolved the last thing completely, you can take that. You can take a new thought form, a new energy, emotion, whatever you want to do. So select the change you want to make. Select that thought form. And just sit back, close your eyes. And connect with what you may refer to as negative energy, although there's really no negative or positive. It's just how we think about it. Think of the thought form that you're ready to change, that you had been giving energy to. Connect with the emotion. Connect with the physical experience of it. What do you see, hear, feel in the physical world as a creation of this thought form. Feel it in your body. And look with your inner eyes to see that energy in your system. Notice where it is. Notice what color it is. Notice what it feels like, if it's moving. And with your intention, begin to move that energy down your shoulders into your hands. So maybe up from your feet, down from the top of your head, through all of your internal organ, moving it into your palms, and turn your palms upward and feel all of that energy, all of that vibration moving slowly or quickly into your palms. And you know that like attracts like. So all energy related to that, all similar energy, are like magnets drawn together, like water molecules drawn together, flowing down through your hands. And you may feel tingling, you may feel a temperature change, you may feel heaviness in those hands. As more of that negative emotional energy and more of that thought form moves through your body into your hands. And look into your hands and imagine if that thought form had a color, that energy had a color, what color would it be? And notice what direction that energy is moving, if it's moving at all. And if that energy had a sound, what would that sound be? And make sure all of that energy through every part of you, all the little crevices in your brain, your lungs, your heart, all of your muscles, your cells, your ligaments, your fascia is all in your hands. And take your hands and compress that energy into a ball. And really take your time and make sure you can feel that energy being compressed tighter and tighter. And take that ball in one hand and imagine in front of you is an old hand crank meat grinder. And don't do it yet, but there's a little opening at the top and there's a hand crank. And in a moment, you're going to put that ball of energy in this meat grinder. You're going to turn the hand crank and all that energy is going to come out in its raw form. You're going to disintegrate, dissolve, and you're going to mix up all of the old energy and emotions into raw materials. So imagine now taking that ball of energy, putting it in the top of that meat grinder, and then putting your other hand back down at the exit of it and begin just slowly cranking and see that energy going down through the top and see it coming out into your other hand. Feel it. You may notice the change in the texture of that energy. You may notice it already looks different. Maybe it's unrecognizable. And take as much time as you need, just turning that hand crank. Knowing that that energy now has potential to become anything. Good. And take that energy again and form it back into a ball. Compress that ball and hold it in both hands and look at it and notice what's already different. Notice how different it feels. Notice how different it looks. And just to make sure we've dissolved all of the old patterns in it, imagine in front of you is a powerful commercial blender. One of those blenders that you could put nails in and it would chop them up. Don't laugh. This is very serious here. And so imagine taking the top off of that blender and take that ball of energy and just drop it in, but don't turn it on yet. Put the lid back on the blender. Make sure that's nice and tight. And in a moment, we're going to start from the lowest setting and we're going to work our way up. So in a moment, not yet, you're going to hit that slow button and you're going to watch that energy being chopped up back into the raw materials from which you can build your future. So go ahead and hit that slow button and see those blades start churning. See that energy being spun around and chopped up. All of that old thought form disintegrating, dissolving. And now hit the medium speed. See it spinning faster and faster. Gaining more and more momentum. Being dissolved into smaller and smaller particles. And hit that high speed now. Spinning so fast you can hardly recognize it. And you may notice it's getting more energy and more momentum as it gains more potential and becomes more refined. You may notice the color of it start to change even more. And then finally hit that liquefy button, that fastest speed that just completely liquefies all of that energy. Good, and now turn it off. Take the lid off of it. Take that blender out of the holder. And you have to be careful here not to make a mess. And imagine pouring that energy back into your hand, keeping it all together. You can put that blender down and take both of your hands and see this raw material, this raw potential, pure mental energy. And you can even try to look and find the old pattern, the old thought form in it, and notice that it's unrecognizable. So take your hands and shape it into a new ball that will be a new thought form, a new pattern for you. And make it whatever color you want. Through your hands, imagine that color flowing through your hands into this ball of energy. Maybe multiple colors. Maybe it has sparkles or rainbows. Or if you're in Scotland, maybe it's plaid. But see that energy in that ball. No laughing, this is serious. See that energy in that ball, taking that color, and imagine implanting and seeing that new thought form in the middle of that ball of energy. Maybe it's a symbol or an image of that ideal experience, of that thing you want to create. And put it inside that ball. Maybe it's your ideal partner. Maybe it's just cold, hard cash. And get a crystal clear image and concentrate that laser beam of your mind inside that ball of energy as you continue to move energy into your hands, into this ball, shaping this raw material into that new thing that you want to manifest, that you are manifesting, that you are creating. And you may feel as you add more energy to it that your hands feel like they're getting pushed out, that it's expanding in size, that it's getting even more clear, and make it brighter and stronger. And think about how grateful you are that you have the power to materialize and manifest this. And as you think that, you may notice your heart opens and more energy flows from your heart into this ball of energy, getting brighter and stronger. And finally, I want you to think of a few words or a command to put into this ball. And when you're clear on that, maybe I am abundant, I am prosperous. I'm so grateful to have this in my life. When you're ready, you can speak those words out loud and see those words energizing that ball even more. And you notice the energy of those words shapes that energy even more into a more specific form. It gets more and more clear, brighter and bigger. You feel the energy moving down your hands into your entire body. In a moment, you're going to take that ball of energy and you're going to pull it into your heart space, and you're going to feel it moving through every cell of your being. And remember, the more specific and the stronger the emotion, the faster this will materialize. So see it, hear it, feel it, and take a moment, take your hands, wrap it around that ball of energy and pull it right into that heart space. Feel it moving into your heart chakra, up to the top of your head, down to the bottom of your feet. Noticing the vibration change in every cell of your being with this energy. Knowing that it's dissolving all of the old thought forms and reprogramming them with new, specific, and empowering energy. Notice how the antenna of your body is shifting onto a new plane of existence. And imagine how different your life is now from this vibrational state. And feel that energy moving through every part of your body, every part of your life. And you may even want to move your body language and your breath back to where it was before in that really powerful state. That's right. And notice how incredible you feel, how incredible you are. And that if you've ever created something that you didn't prefer, you can create something else. And create that new experience at the level of the soul, the level of the mind, the level of the emotions, and now at the level of your physical, manifested, materialized reality. And when you're ready, you can move forward into this new reality, into this new vibration, knowing that your unconscious mind has placed this experience in your future for you to experience when you least expect it. And maybe you'll think back to this experience and realize, hey, I created that. Just like you create everything in your life. And when you're ready to recognize how powerful of a creator you are, You can open your eyes and see these beautiful smiling faces on the Zoom call, noticing what's changed and noticing how incredible you feel. Some of you coming out of that, it's so funny to watch. I'll let you take a moment. Take a few deep breaths here. Wipe your eyes. So it's 4:30. We'll do a quick share. I did have one other brief process we can do here, but we probably just like eliminated all of your negative patterns just in those two, right? You're completely different and perfect now, aren't you? Who wants to share how that experience went? Come on, you guys got to give me something here. Oh, Lynn, good.
That was pretty amazing. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I've been working with energy, and I do this thing where I feel the energy point. You can just feel a density there, and then I can feel. But anyway, I followed all through. It was amazing. Tingly. I could actually feel energy flowing. The tingly. That's how I see it. Yeah, and it was really good, really uplifting, I have to say. I could see the splodgy old energy, the negative energy, completely visualized all the mixing, and I think that really added to the whole experience that you're actively participating in, and could definitely feel the energy, and then bringing it in and then allowing it to go up your hands, and then yeah, great. And the colors as well.
Good.
Absolutely super. Thank you.
And for those of you who didn't have like a mind-blowing physical energy experience, the more you do that, the more you play with hypnosis, the more you imagine energy, the more sensitive you get, to a point where some of you may not believe this, but if you take your hands and you imagine like scanning someone's energy center, you can get information from them. Some of you may experience this. Some of you may experience this like intuitively or just kind of accidentally, but you can scan people's energy centers and figure out like what kind of energy's in there. That's the power of this antenna to decipher that. It takes a little practice sometimes. All right, Carmen, I think you had your hand up. Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, so for me there was just an intense feeling of joy, you know. I did have a little bit of trouble, you know, when you poured it out of the blender because it's liquid, you know. I was like, oh, it's going to go everywhere, but it didn't.
Good.
It stayed, you know, it stayed in place. And I did feel the energy. You know, I can't say that it was like some super powerful thing, but it was definitely it wasn't faint. It was kind of in between. And I think I felt, because I've done similar things before, but I was able to feel it a little more intense this time. So,
Good.
And I really did feel like physically, energetically feel the energy shifting and moving. So I wanted to share real quick. Pam Grout is an author, and she writes a book, I think it's called E Squared and E Cubed.
Uh-huh.
And I've done one of these activities. And real quick, one of them is you ask, you know, whatever you believe in. I can't remember what she calls it, but for something to manifest within 48 hours. Well, I felt that was a little bit disrespectful. So I said, okay, in a week. And I live in Oklahoma. So I wanted to manifest arrowheads, right? And I hike and bike, and I'm looking for them. A couple of days have gone by, no arrowheads. And it was my man's birthday, and I wanted to go get him a cake, but I wanted to get one that was gluten-free because I was gluten-free at the time. And so I go to this place that it's supposed to be a bakery. And I almost didn't go, but I just felt really drawn to it. I walk in, it's a freaking gift store. I mean, they've got a bakery and a deli there. The first thing I see are these little handmade arrows with arrowheads. And I said, but I wanted to see a shit ton of them. Okay. So I said, this is not a shit ton of arrowheads. So I'm going through the store. And when I go to check out, there at the register, I kid you not, are baskets full of freaking arrowheads. I mean, full of arrowheads at a place that was advertised as a bakery. So, I mean, it was a very pivotal moment in my realizing how reality and how we do manifest things. So
absolutely. And I was yeah, that's great. I thought you were going to say like you saw Kansas City Chiefs paraphernalia. They have the little arrowhead logo, because these things they show up in unexpected and weird ways, right? And
yeah,
and you had mentioned you kind of thought it was a little disrespectful, right? Like we're telling God what to do, but really it's unformed raw material of mental energy that we're working with. And it doesn't judge what you as the creator want to create, right? God, whatever you think God is on the level with your soul of pure consciousness. And that's the spark that you have, is that pure consciousness. And then that being gave you the power to decide what to focus on to bring into material reality. And so there's nothing disrespectful. There's nothing positive or negative. Whatever you think on, focus on, feel, you as that creator get to bring into existence. Beautiful story. Thank you.
Yeah. And there was jewelry in the shape of arrowheads. There was artwork with arrowheads in it. It was, I mean, mind blowing. Because I really wanted my mind blown. I didn't want it to be this little tiny thing. I wanted it to be big, and it was. So,
I was in LA a few years ago for with some friends, and we were crewing a Tony Robbins event, and so we're all in this like really good. We're all in a really good state, and we went to we were hanging out at the beach. And we're all feeling really good. And someone was like, oh, let's go get tacos. There's this taco place a few blocks away. And so we're like, yeah, tacos. And one of the guys we were with says, well, I don't want tacos. I want ice cream. And I don't know why, but I said, oh, don't worry. There'll be ice cream there. And so we went to this taco place. And in the parking lot for their 1-year anniversary was an ice cream stand. And it was like, we're all like, what just happened? It was like the most random thing, but sometimes when you're in that playful, non-resistant state, it just shows up. So I think we've all had those experiences. Yes, Andrea.
Yeah, just a quick one. Mine was kind of fragmented in the sense that I got part of it out, felt tingling in the hands, did all the ball work because I could feel that. But then at the end, I kind of felt like this half was still there. So have you got a technique for shifting stuff that won't budge?
Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted you to say. That leads in perfectly to our next thing.
Great. Glad about it. Great.
That's exactly, like I couldn't have scripted that better.
Yeah, you can pay me later. Thanks.
I'm kind of kidding, but if you're a hypnotist, everything that happens is like the perfect thing, right? Like this is how we reframe. So if anyone ever says that in a session that it didn't work, you just go, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I'm so glad you said that. All right.
So, worked.
So we're going to do another process here. I feel like I had something else to tell you guys. Maybe not. All right. We're going to do, I know what I was going to say. Earlier today, I had an idea for a Harry Potter class / set of hypnosis experiences where we take some of the ideas from Harry Potter and we do hypnosis processes on them. Are any of you guys Harry Potter magic kind of fans? Yeah, a few of you. All right, cool. So, like because a lot of this is hypnotic principles, right? They're doing incantations and spells. And what's the thing where there's like a closet that whatever they fear comes out of? You know what I'm talking about? And then they basically reframe the thing they fear. They do a modality shift. So I had an idea for a series of those type of processes because it's just perfect for what we do. That's in the future. I'm just going to leave that loop open for all of you. So you keep coming back. One of these weeks we'll do that. All right, I'm going to do just a fast phobia type of shift. Is everyone familiar with the fast phobia? So it's a movie theater, you know, you're sitting in a movie theater, you're seeing the phobia on the screen, and we're going to change the modalities of it. And we're going to do something like that. So is everybody, like, are you going through the list? Are you done with your first two things? Are you still working on one thing? Have we made shifts yet? Sometimes it's hard for me to know exactly what you guys are experiencing if I'm not in your chair. Yes, Diana.
Yeah, I concentrated on three things, but there was one thing that didn't budge. Okay.
Okay. So one that you're still working on?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
In fact, I thought I might have to do another couple private.
Okay. That's exactly what I wanted you to say. That's perfect. That leads perfectly into this process. All right. And again, there's layers to this, but this will bring you more awareness about how your mental realm is creating the emotional realm is manifesting into physical matter. So now you're aware of that. You know the steps. You can come back to this recording at any time. You can realize, oh, this emotion I'm having is materializing something. Is it materializing what I want or is it not? And then you know how to stop that process, how to change it. And so that's what we're going to do now. All right, get comfortable, get situated, and get ready to go even deeper than ever before into the depths of the mental realm. You close your eyes. Harnessing and connecting to the power of your imagination. Knowing that with your focus and your emotions, you can create anything. And notice how incredible it feels to realize that. As you find yourself standing outside of a movie theater, the most incredible and beautiful movie theater you've ever seen. And as you walk up the sidewalk to the entrance of this movie theater, notice all the details of the architecture, the excitement and the wonderment, the curiosity. What will you find inside there? And you see the sign that says unconscious cinema. And you open the door and you walk up to the desk and you see yourself. And that version of you that's working behind the desk says, what would you like to see today? And you tell them what you'd like to work on, what you'd like to change, what you'd like to shift. And of course, this version of you and is connected and knows everything about you. So they say, I have just the thing. And they print you a ticket. And on that ticket is a number. Notice what number is on that ticket. And you take that slip of paper with that number and you walk through the movie theater and you find the appropriate theater for that number. Maybe you walk by all of the other rooms and theaters, knowing that some incredible movies are playing at different levels in your mental world. But this is the perfect one for you to change right now. And don't go in that movie theater yet. But I want you to notice you're standing at the top of 5 stairs, and at the bottom of these stairs is a door that will lead you into that movie theater. And with every step down, you may notice your body gets more relaxed. You may notice it just feels like your body's dissolving completely. As you take the step from 5 to 4, noticing the changing in energy in your body. 4 to 3, more relaxed, more comfortable. 3 to 2, curious about the incredible changes that are about to take place. 2 to 1, at the perfect level of trance for transformation. And walk through that door into the theater. And notice the chairs. Notice the screen. And those little lights on the walkways to guide you to find the perfect chair to get the best view of the theater, of the screen. Find that chair, sit down, and get really, I mean, really comfortable. You may notice yourself sinking comfortably into the perfect position in that chair for you to see the movie screen. And on that screen, in just a moment, is going to play your old patterns, the old movies that live in the mental realm. And imagine seeing that playing now. Your old pattern, the old way of being, the old thoughts. And notice how those are represented on the screen. And notice how bright, how quickly or slowly the images are moving. Notice who's in there. And notice what you feel as you watch this representation of the mental realm. And in a moment, not yet, but in a moment, you're going to start making changes to this movie. You're going to notice how the emotions change. And just allow those emotions to change automatically as you begin to change this movie. So imagine seeing the screen begin to fade to black and white. and notice what happens to your emotions. As that old pattern fades to black and white, and it gets farther and farther away, way off into the distance. But don't get comfortable yet. Imagine bringing it closer and brighter. Maybe you feel the emotion stronger. Just to demonstrate the level of control that you have. And see that movie playing stronger, brighter, clearer. And just notice, without judging, what you feel. And now make it a cartoon. Zoom it out just a little bit and imagine it's a cartoon. And imagine it's going super fast. And they're speaking with super high pitch helium type of voices. And now rewind it all the way back. And now turn it black and white as a cartoon and see it playing. And hear a silly kind of circus music over the screen. And see it fading farther and farther. And notice how your emotions, notice how the energy in your system changes as we begin to change this thought form. And I want you to drain it of all color. I want you to make it so it's super slow motion. And notice that you're in complete control in the mental level of this experience. And now, sitting in that chair, you can become the director. And you can make that movie and that thought form into anything you want. Notice how you look on that screen. You can make the colors brighter or softer. You can make the sounds louder or more quiet. You can speed it up or slow it down, but see yourself succeeding. See that ideal experience that you're ready to materialize and manifest. And notice who's in this movie with you. And hear them say what you would like them to say to you. And hear the volume of that get even louder. See yourself performing the way you want to perform, living the way you're ready to live. And as you watch yourself on that screen, noticing the emotions and the energy that you carry with you. And see yourself on the screen handling the old situation that used to create that negative experience, handling it in a new and empowering way. Perfectly reframing any part of that experience, finding the good in it, meeting any challenge with positive emotions and turning it into something incredible. And see that movie of your life perfectly scripted, perfectly acted on, and make it brighter and bigger. In a moment, you're going to float up into this screen and you're going to be the main character. You're going to feel what that character feels. You're going to experience what that character experiences. You're going to become that character that is already you. And float up into that screen, into that movie, and notice the emotions of that character. Notice how that character moves through the world. Notice the thoughts, the feelings, and the physical manifestations that that character experiences. And as this character, what thought forms do you bring into physical reality? What is the specific thought that you, as the director, have scripted? And as this character, try to find the old thought and notice what happens instead. Try to connect to the old emotion and notice the harder you try, the better you feel. Notice that that transformation has already taken place and there's no need to go back. And see this plot continue, the plot where you're the hero, where you're successful, you're a leader, you're an influencer, and notice how much certainty you have as the hero of this movie. And notice how the energy of that certainty is carried in your body and how you breathe, in your face, in your posture. And as this character, in a moment, you're going to float back into the movie theater. But this time, you're going to be met by a round of applause and a full audience. All of the most important people of your life. And imagine floating out of that screen into that theater with an incredible audience cheering you on. And notice what they tell you. What do they say about you? And notice as they applaud and they compliment you, you feel better and better. Noticing how grateful you feel that you can change anything on your mental screen. And you walk out of that theater, back into the hallway, knowing that you can come back at any time to any of these theaters and change or create anything you want. And on your way out, you give a nod to that person working behind the desk that is you, who knew exactly what to have you experience. You walk out of the theater, through the door, down the sidewalk, remembering that you're really just sitting in a chair on a Zoom call with all of your favorite people. And as you realize that, you may find a big smile on your face that no matter how hard you try to stop, you cannot. And the harder you try, the bigger your smile. And you will always remember that your soul creates the thoughts in the mental realm, which creates the emotions in the emotional realm, which as you focus them, materialize into the physical world. And knowing that you have that power, you realize you've created everything. Like this experience of being on the Zoom call with these incredible people ready to create your own life after your own imagination. Getting ready to open your eyes in this new and empowering state, feeling incredible. Now, coming back, eyes opening, ready to bring thoughts into physical reality. I just realized I'm way behind on these chats here. A lot of comments. Hi, everyone. That was a lot for one day. I probably should have made that like 3 weeks worth, huh? Now I'm going to have no content for next week. I don't know what I'm going to do. Cancel that thought. I'm just kidding. I know exactly what I'm going to do. All right. Does anyone want to share? I know I've been a little long-winded tonight. We had 2 hours in. We did a lot of work. Questions, comments, corny jokes. Yes, Andrea?
Just wanted to say thank you because I really needed that today.
I know.
Oh, great. Glad you knew. Thanks.
That was just for you. You and
Are you
Diana.
stalking me or something?
Listen, everything you need, it's in the mental realm. I just tap into that before these calls and I don't filter it too much. I'm just guided. So I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also kind of not kidding.
Oh, you could hear the screams then, yeah?
Yeah. Ugh. Stay out of Andrea's mental world. Whoa. No, I'm just kidding. Diana, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just to say it was pretty amazing. I really enjoyed that. And I will do it again privately as well because it's a good feeling. Yeah, thank you.
Good.
And it wasn't overkill. It was perfect timing.
Good.
Well, for me, my opinion.
Well, that's the one that counts. Excellent. Well, it's lovely to see your faces. Blaine, yes.
Nick, that was just fantastic, and thank you so much. And someone else said, so yes, indeed, he is a wizard.
Is that what it says in there?
Yeah, I agree. That was wonderful, powerful, and we're all very grateful.
Good. Good. My pleasure. My pleasure. Lots more to come. I feel like I've got a whole backlog of things I want to do with you guys. So I got to figure out what to prioritize here. But and there's new ideas added every day, so the list keeps getting longer. Good. Well, good to see everyone. It's been long, so I know if you have to go, you have to go. I'll stay on and chat for a minute if anybody wants to share anything else, but I appreciate all the feedback and glad everyone had a good experience.
Thank you, Nick. That's brilliant.
Thanks,
Absolutely
Chris.
brilliant.
Stefan, good to
Yes.
see you.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye, Diana. Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye, Martin. Bye, Veronica. Bye, Nolene. See you, Doreen.
Bye, Nick. Bye, everybody. That was fantastic.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Thanks.
Bye, Carmen.
Thanks, Nick.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
good
feel
to
like
see
this
you,
is
Dakota.
I feel like this is a new chapter that started on Monday, and this was perfect timing. Thank you.
Good. Good. See, I'm tapped into your mental world too.
That's right.
I'll take credit. All right. All right, everybody. Love you all. See you soon.